Hey there, my name is Megan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a really small October book haul for you guys. I only have 5 books to show you, but before we go ahead and get into the small fall haul, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I post new bookish content. I post new videos every Monday, Thursday, Saturday, and sometimes other days throughout the week. Also, don't forget to check down in the description box below for links to all of my social media, my Buddy Read Discord, and my Patreon, where you can be entered into winning book giveaways. The first book I'm going to be sharing with you is The Near Witch by V.E. Schwab. This is V.E. Schwab's first ever published book, I believe, and it went out of print and then it was brought back into print, I think, after she became like a more established, celebrated author. And I thought that this book was middle grade, but I purchased it in the adult section of the bookstore, and it says V.E. Schwab on here, and I know she goes by Victoria Schwab for her young adult and middle grade books. So I guess this is an adult book, but it sounds very, very atmospheric and very fairy tale-esque. But in this book, there are these kind of tales, creepy tales about the Near Witch, who is supposed to live in this forest. And our main character, Lexi, lives in the town of Near, and she lives like on the outside of this forest. One day, this strange boy appears outside Lexi's window, and after he appears, other children start to go missing, so the people of the town think that he has something to do with it, and Lexi takes it upon herself to try and figure out what's going on with this boy, and she thinks that the Near Witch might have something to do with it, so she ventures into the forest to confront this witch and see what's going on. I haven't heard much about this book, so I'm going into it with fairly low expectations, even though Victoria Schwab is one of my favorite authors. It is her first published work, and I know usually first works aren't the best. Thinking of Elantris, authors tend to grow and improve over time. However, it does sound very much like a fairy tale, and I love dark, creepy forests. It's not very long or dense, and I'm glad to add it to my Victoria Schwab collection. Next, we have Small Favors by Erin A. Craig, and she wrote House of Salt and Sorrows, which I read, I think in 2019, maybe 2020, and it was one of my favorite books of the year. I still think about this book, that book, and I want to reread it because it is a good Halloween read. It is so creepy, and I told myself that the next book that Erin A. Craig would put out, I would definitely pick up. And this book actually has a lot of similarities to The Near Witch. But in this book, we follow a main character named Ellery, and she lives on the outside of this impenetrable forest. And she spends her days tending to her family's beehives. And she has a brother who likes to roam and kind of like does whatever he wants. So she's the responsible one. He's the more like carefree risk taker one. There are rumors that there are these creatures that live inside the forest, and everyone always tells one another, don't venture into the forest too far. And one day, a group of people who went to gather supplies got lost in the forest and never came back. Soon after, strange things start to happen in town. The creatures are actually real, and they start offering people to fulfill their deepest desires in return for a small favor. And Ellery has to try and save the people of her town before it's too late. And I just love the idea of having your deepest desires fulfilled, and you know that there's going to be some sort of contingency with that. And it just sounds really, really intriguing. And I know it's probably going to have like dark elements to the plot and the themes, despite how pretty the cover is, just based off what I read in House of Salt and Sorrow, because that was a creepy book. But I'm very excited to get to this, and it is a standalone. The next 3 books were all sent to me by my subscriber and patron and friend Andre, so thank you so much for the gifts. I really appreciate it. You are so kind. The first one is Roundbreaker by Victoria Aveyard. This is the same author as the Red Queen Quartet, which I do own, and I just want to say this book has a gorgeous, gorgeous map inside. So, I mean, I'm interested just because of the map. But in this book, we follow a girl named Coraine, I think is how you say it, and she lives in this small town on the edge of the sea. And one day, there's a knock at her door, and this immortal lethal assassin comes to tell her that she is actually part of this ancient lineage who is supposed to help combat this growing darkness over the land. So Corinne is thrust into political intrigue, magical abilities that she didn't know she had, as well as teaming up with a group of misfits to try and save the world. So it sounds just like your very traditional YA fantasy, and I enjoyed the Red Queen series. I'm excited to see how Victoria Aveyard has grown as an author, and this one I'm hoping to get to pretty soon. Next is Fireborn by Rosaria Munda, and this is the first book in a series or a duology, and everybody has said this book is so good that it does not read like YA. It's definitely one of those books where if you want like older, more mature YA, then this one would be one you would want to grab. But this has to do with dragon riders. And I said not that long ago that I wanted to read more books with dragons, and I just haven't. So now I have another option. But in this world, we follow two characters, Annie and Lee, and both of them were orphans. And there is a new class, like social class, of dragon riders. And both students are going to compete to become dragon riders, which will kind of elevate their status in society. But suddenly, battle and war shows up on the horizon as an old regime attempts to reclaim the city as their own. And Annie and Lee have to decide how to handle this situation. Annie has to decide if she wants to rise up and become a dragon rider to protect the city, while Lee has to decide if he should betray the only family that he knows. So I'm very excited to get to Fireborn just because of all the positive feedback that people gave me about this book. So thank you once again, Andre. And lastly, we have Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is her first book in a new spin-off series that takes place in the Caraval world. I just did a whole review on why I think you should read the Caraval trilogy. So I'm super excited to have this book and be back in this world. But in this book, we are following a character from the Caraval trilogy. We're following Jax, who is a Fate, and he ruled the world at one time with other fates. He has magical abilities, and he is incapable of love, and his kiss is poisonous. And we follow a character named Evangeline, who, in order to kind of win back her boyfriend, whom she thinks is under a magical spell, enters in with a bargain with Jax, and Jax says she has to give him kisses in order to get him to help her, but she soon realizes that there is more to Jax than meets the eye, and that he probably was not the best person to strike a bargain with. So I'm very excited to be back in the Caraval world. Stephanie Garber's writing is so whimsical and atmospheric, and she just knows how to create like good angst and romance, which I have a feeling there will be some of in this book. So this is another one I really want to get to soon because I'm super excited to have it. All right, you guys, so those are the few books I got in my small fall book haul. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of those and what you thought of them, or maybe some new books that you got in the month of October, and I will see y'all soon in another video. Goodbye!